Hello and welcome in, guys. Conquest Coast. We are back with another battle report, and today we have a little bit of a shorter one because the match was decided quite fast, but there was still a few things to go over because I'm still figuring out what list I should bring to the next tournament. Hopefully I don't forget to make pictures so we can make some battle reports on those as well. Now, as you can see, I bring in the Ghols. We play off balance here. I bring in the Ghols on the left side of the forest there because I don't want to get them shot down by the Tengus. And yes, we are playing versus Yoroni again. Luckily, so we have two matches now versus Yoroni, which is very interesting. And it wasn't the same person we've played, so yeah, a lot of people testing them out and seeing what's possible at the moment. And it's good for me, so I start to know how the faction works. So yeah, we brought in the Ghols so they don't get shot down, or at least it's a little bit harder. From the setup there, I wasn't sure if I can contest the zone and keep them inside the forest. We found out that's not working. We cannot do that. We still send in our Sorcerer here so we can make the goal scoring. I don't really want to sack the Ghols here, but from the placement we did, we set them up as a bait, classy, and had enough stuff that could retaliate if somebody's coming in and swings at them. At least that was what I was hoping for. And yes, my opponent was nice here and allowed me to readjust something because I was like 0.1 inches too far ahead. That's why you should always give yourself a little bit of margin of error here. So we send in the Sorcerer with this Disciples and the small Rajakur unit in front of them so they can protect them a little bit. It's a little bit harder for my opponent to charge them. If they charge them, they of course can work as a blocker. And since this old army is size 2, we realized that in our last matchup, we can shoot them very well from behind. I mean, having the whole army size 2 brings some good things with it, but also you have to use it to your advantage as well if you play against them. And it's very nice for pseudo gun lines like the list I'm playing right now. As you can see there, I had my big Rajakur block coming in on the other side. I wasn't really planning to rush on the objective, but just stay so we can, if he wants to hold it, we can at least get some spells in. And if he's trying to charge us, we have enough. They have a little bit of staying power. And I was planning to set up a Flamecaster unit behind them as usual. The first Flamecaster unit is coming in here behind the Ghols. So I think my setup there was okay. Overall, I think overall, yeah, the ranges worked out pretty much in our favor. I hadn't like a super big error. There was one with like the movement, but I will show you that one a little bit later. Now, he has like his big unit with the scary character on the right side, together with like one of the tanky squads so, with a character. So he has a lot of pressure on that objective. But since there is water on that objective, it's also a little bit scary for him. So yeah, we moved up our Ghols here. I was just checking if I can somehow get on the objective with my command stand and still hold, still have every single base inside the forest, but it looks like from the design that's not working, which is a good thing. We still could have used it a little bit better to our advantage, but we went there, so we knew we were inside range of the Tengus, so they can aim and shoot. but I felt kind of positive that we can soak up for sure one round of shooting. And since he does not really have a lot of shooting, if he has no pressure on them, we can safely kind of start healing them up and negate the damage he did. So as you can see, we go into our next turn. I mean, we have a 2-point lead here. Nothing crazy. He has no lights. We do have lights that we can make scores, so that's 2 points we can grab there. And we protect the Ghols right now kind of well, so that's working fine so far. I went with the Initiates first. It's the Household Knights card there because I didn't have the right card. And because I was really sure where I want to bring them. Because they can work. I wanted to use them as a flanker for my big Rajakur block. Because the Rajakur block on themselves is a little bit, you know, it's sometimes a little bit fragile. If it gets too many stuff that can charge it. So yeah, we want to have some backup units there. We have the Mahabharati. They are good there as a flanker. Maybe later on they could go for the objective. And for super late game you could even consider with a Fiery Dominion grabbing an objective marker in the back. A sneaky one if you really have to. Now we move forward with the Rajakur because we don't really want to move the other block right now, but our opponent is of course buffering a lot with the characters. It's something we don't really do a lot with Sorcerer Kings because yeah, we have a lot of spellcasters that want to be in ranges and some orders are important. So we bring in our second Disciples unit in the center so we can technically have a big arc as a threat range, and we are able to give us rerolls with the Maharajah if needed. As you can see there, we heal up our Ghols, and the healing overall was, as we saw how the damage was resolved, I mean he had some pretty bad dice rolls, but how the damage resolved, we were in a pretty good state here. So as I said a little bit earlier, we bring the classic Flamecaster behind Rajakur. I was considering them on the left side, right next to the other Flamecasters, but I wasn't sure because from the looks I got the impression that my opponent wants to put more pressure on that right side objective. So my plan was, going into the next few turns, I would let him score that side as much as he wants if he's not pressuring me enough. So I moved forward that if he wants to go inside the objective zone, we at least have him within 12 inches so we can start spellcasting a little bit. So we are not wasting spells, because we are not getting any value out of the volley reroll this turn, and my opponent probably wants to take that objective zone, so he's moving in at some point. It's just the question is just if he's before our Maharajah or not. So he moved forward his big block, like big block is the biggest block he has, with two of the tanky guys. I think it's one of the more of the attackers, and there's a character that is scary because we cannot deny duels. Now is the moment where we bring in the Mahut, and this one I had a spot in the center in front of the Disciples that I first planned to bring him. But then I was thinking, hey, we can bring him on the left side, and if he's coming in next turn, we can maybe push up to the objective zone and start spamming Arcane Conduit points. And there isn't really a lot of stuff that's threatening me immediately or is pressuring like 20 damage on my Mahut. And we still have a lot of things on that side that can answer. So as you can see, we have our heavy side with the small MSU units and the Mahut. and our Maharajah with the Rajakur just trying to buy me as much time on that side as they can. So yeah, we start spellcasting here at those guys, but I didn't do any damage. Started another conflagration, nothing too crazy. Now, let me see where he's... Oh yeah, he brings in some of his birds. So yeah, I like that one. I think that was a good move from him because it does pressure my Maharabatis. So they are not completely free to do whatever they want. Now we moved up our Disciples to shoot into the same unit with the Bashi guys with the character. They're defense 3, so they're a little bit easier to get through. And I mean, they did 3 damage here, which is pretty good for move and shoot. So now it's getting a little bit juicy. So he charges my Ghols here. And I'm not sure if that was the right move, because I have a lot of stuff coming here. And I was thinking, okay, if just one base of Ghols survive, we're in a very good spot. And they did. The Ghols keep surprising me. They keep doing their job better than they should. And yeah, I think we were down to 2 HP, so the healing was super clutch. And now with the order we had, the damage here is going pretty wild, because we can now move in, shoot with our Flamecasters, close range, get the torrential fire. We have the rerolls for our 6s already up, because our Sorcerer casted. And that gives him the infernal marking, so if we do the spellcasting with our Maharajah now, first we get the dancing Scimitar, which is already doing 2 to 3 damage, and then we can throw a burn to Cinder, which gets an auto success and 3 auto hits because he's in contact with one of my fire units, the Ghols. So I felt pretty positive that I can pick up that unit. I think if he was able to do this activation later, I think it could have worked. But I think he was in a rough spot there from the setup, because even if he just moves in, let's say he just moves in, he probably could have gotten away with it. I would have probably charged... No, I would probably not charge them with the Ghols, but I could have probably blocked them with my Ghols. I'm not sure. I don't think the Mahut could attack him next turn, but he would still get at least some Flamecaster shots, and yeah, I think just going onto the objective zone would have been overall better there. It would have been a lot harder for me to handle, because losing 2 cards is already putting him in a very, very difficult spot over here, because that unit on that left side made it so that I couldn't just freely move in and start swinging in towards the center or the right side and start supporting there. And the Mahut, I was already like, yeah, thinking into the future, of course, thinking if at some point I maybe have to do a triple activation movement to get my Mahut over to the other side, because that's why I didn't like to place him over there, because it's hard to move over. But with rituals, and sometimes you have to do it, I can make 18 inches a turn if I set up well and don't have to turn. So he can do quite some distance. And I was thinking with all the rituals I have set up, the Arcane Conduit would come in handy here. Now going into my next turn, and I want to talk about the small mistake, because I had my Ghols as my last activation. Didn't know what to do with them because I wasn't really thinking through it, but I should have moved them a little bit to the side. So if I bring back a base, I can bring it back to the right. So both of my bases are inside the forest. Because I have initiative, I can go first here and I'm actually going first. I'm doing the Sorcerer here and heal them up. But if I had it the other way around, I could have done my Maharajah. He could have casted a spell, heal them for 2, so the command stand is healed up, and then we do the ritual and get our Eye of Blazing Tempest and heal another 3 HP, so we have almost 2 full bases back. And later, if we go with a spell with the Sorcerer, we could heal the base, so we can start bringing them back next turn. Which, yeah, as you can see there, I moved them over now a little bit, so I could possibly do it later. Oh yeah, he was shooting with the Tengu and put me down to 1 HP though, so the healing was coming in clutch. And he had bad dices. Yeah, he had overall very bad dices here. Now going over to the other side, and he sends in the big unit, which is scary. But the impacts were really bad. He did with all the tramples and impacts like 3 damage or something like that, just insane. So I think we should have taken a lot more damage there. And he dueled my Maharajah later and wasn't able to kill him. I think I have to do the math. He had 6 attacks and hits on 4s. With no rerolls, I think. So he has expected 4 hits. We have evasion 2, so we should save 1 to 2. And we have pretty good resolve because our unit is that big. So I think we survive on 1 or 2 HP. And I mean, it's just about surviving there. Because if my Maharajah survives the duel, man, imagine back in the days when Shu'laat gave us Blessed, that would have made that survival a lot more reliable. But we did survive, so if we survive, we can start spellcasting, healing up our unit. If we lose the duel, it's actually pretty bad. We still probably, even if we lose our guy there, our Maharajah, we still kill that unit. So yeah, we moved up and started shooting into those guys with like 19 shots, rerolling the 6s, and we did crazy damage. Yeah, now he's going for the duel. And we did more damage than he did no damage. It was just insane. Because I had he hit 3 and I saved all 3 on 1, like 2-1. It was yeah, the dices were so far pretty one-sided. I still think I could have handled the situations well, because on this side here, even if I lose my Maharajah, as I said, I can shoot with the Flamecasters, shoot with the Disciples. I think it's not effective range, but we can aim and shoot. We can technically shoot with our other Disciples by reforming them and shooting. So how much hits is that? I don't know. I need to do the math, but it's probably around 25-30ish hits, which ends up in 12 to 15 wounds. And the Rajakur can still hit. Yeah, I think even if we lose our Maharajah, worst case we could send in the initiates. I really don't want to do that, but worst case we could probably do that. I'm not sure if there is a scenario where I ever want to do it. Yeah, and after that duel, because he knew he would lose his big unit there, we basically called this game on turn 5, because I think there was no reason to play, because the losses, he has like lost 500 points and doing no damage at all, except for the Ghols. But man, wasting more even like shooting another turn here is so killer, because you have not a lot of activations left. You need another one to kill the Ghols. You have to do it early, which I like there, because we have the healing pressure without really the pressure from the damage. So obviously we can just pressure him with the, hey, if you don't activate those Tengus, we heal them out of your potential damage. So you have to do the Tengus early. But if you do the Tengus early, you lose the whole... There isn't a lot of pressure, yes, left on that left side. But You lose all the pressures or all the things you can do there, so you don't want to do them early. So I think, yeah, overall we had a good match here. I like the setup, I like the list. I think we can do well into a list like this, so I feel good going forward with my Sorcerer Kings. There is 2 lists right now that I think are competitively really viable. There's, of course, a lot of other builds out there that are also very good competitive, but those are the 2 I think I'm feeling the best right now on. The question now just is if I want to play my Bakasura or if I prefer a unit of Initiates and a unit of Disciples. I think overall I prefer the 12 activations, especially with rituals we can go up to 12 or 15 activations a turn, which is very strong, and we can make some tempo plays also, like late in the turn or early and late, which is very nice. So yeah, I think we're gonna probably bring this one to the next tournament. I'm still trying to get some more matches in, so I feel a little bit more confident against all the matchups. But I'm feeling good. Hopefully, yeah, I can bring you guys some replays. And that's it for our short Yoroni match. I hope you enjoyed it. And I see you next time, guys. Conquest Coast out.